hire the best subcontractors and don't trust them. That's going to get some people's backs up. Oh, but I've got this guy and I trust him implicitly. I'm like, great. But I still need to make sure that I'm completely satisfied. So when my head hits the pillow overnight time, I know that that floor has been laid in conjunction with the manufacturer specifications, and I don't have to pull that $15,000 floor out and fix it because some frigging 2-bob sub told me it was right. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max, I'm your host. I'm the CEO here at Smith & Sons in Canada, and I'm also the founder of EliteBusinessAdvisory.com. If you're chasing some contractor business coaching, that's customized to suit builders and general contractors. Hit the book a consultation button and get over there and have a chat with me about what's going on in your biz. No obligation. I'll give you as much value as I can in 30 minutes, and we'll see what happens after that. Don't forget to get across to Business for Builders VIP. That's a Facebook group, private group. It's a community of general contractors, subcontractors, apprentices, and it's a good little community whereby there's some camaraderie and collaboration, and we can have a bit of a chin wag, as the Aussies might say, about all things construction inside of that. Don't be shy. Ask a few questions. I get notifications straight away on my phone. If nobody can help you out, I will be sure to approve your question if it's a good one, and B, if nobody gives you any heads up, I will be more than happy to jump in there and answer your question. Right, steak and potatoes time again. I've been binge watching a bit more Gordon Ramsay lately, so it really does help me identify how important it is to be a good technician. For sure, I get that. If you can't cook the food, then you're going to struggle with the business anyway. But if you can cook the food, you are a great technician, then what you need to do is also add to that repertoire of skills your ability to run your business. Right. So today I'm just going to, I guess it's my opinion, perhaps, as a contractor business coach that spends all of his time with builders in that regard as a business coach and also as a franchisor of several building companies. Why do 50% of builders? Because I use it all the time. 50% of builders go broke in the first 5 years. And I'm like, why is that? So, I'm not sure that this is an exhaustive list. I've come up with 6 or 7 points as to what I think are some of the critical measurements or the indicators around why there is failure in a building company. And so, guys and gals, there was an episode I did, 164, and it was how to unbroke your business. And if you're in a position where your business is in a spot of bother and you're kind of wanting to know, how do I trade out of this? Then that episode 164, and it's both on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform, as well as YouTube. Now, YouTube would help you out a lot more if you wanted to get that information, because I actually, for the first time, did a PowerPoint, which we did throw between, normal video here and also, looking at that screen, a bit of a screen share if you like. So I believe that, can help you out. So in between episode 164, and what I'm going to do today about why I think 50% of builders go broke in the first 5 years, this might be a bit of a mirror that you can look into and go, okay, I can see why I could end up as a statistic and go broke in 5 years. I need to have a strategy whereby I can turn my business around. Part of that strategy might include episode 164, how to unbroke my business. And then, of course, a couple of these points that I'm going to lay out for you really might give you some clarity on some things you might need to address in your building company. And again, specifically as it relates to this, because if you get in touch with me and you want to book a consultation, you go, Max, look, I'm in a position where nobody else will take me. I just need to talk to someone about my situation to get some clarity. It's not going to cost you a dime. It'll cost me 30 minutes of my life. And if I can help turn around your business because there's some stinking thinking perhaps, or you're being lazy as it relates to financial management, more specifically being lazy around knowing and understanding the financials within your business, then I'll give you that little, with love, slap up the side of the head, and hopefully we can, really get you back on course. And so it's really important that you don't run around being unconsciously incompetent, thinking that my shit doesn't stink, my business is fine, it's my customers, it's my subs, it's the guys that work for me, it's the industry, it's the nature of the financial markets at the moment, et cetera, et cetera. Guys and gals, I think I mentioned maybe a couple of episodes ago that I'm partnering up with a guy in my hometown here that I've been trying to sell a franchise to for at least 5 years, but he's always been very intimidated by the corporate side of the business. I decided that as Smith & Sons here in Canada, I wanted to draw a line in the sand, come up with a gold standard. And so what I'm going to do, he's a licensed builder. And so what I'm going to do is run the sales as a general manager and everything up to contract administration, work with him in conjunction for estimating and quoting, and then use that as a gold standard. And then, of course, I give the project file to him and he goes and builds it, because I really need to nail down crystal clear about what it takes to run a building company. And we may or may not touch on this, but, guys and gals, I see so many builders, business owners that are one-man bands with nobody, not even an office manager. And, if a bit of a shout out to my old Kiwi mate, Rion, down there, he was the first one who mentioned to me some years ago that he really does impress upon the Smith & Sons franchised operators in New Zealand to have what he calls an office nanny, which I think is a great option. And I'm currently working with, a builder in Sydney where we've got a virtual assistant in Melbourne, and we're about to, kick her off in the next week or so. And so, guys, you cannot run this thing by yourself. It's why I would not have taken on the responsibility of a building company if I didn't have a business partner who I can relate with, who does a separate skill set to me. Not that I can't be a general contractor, but I can't do both. I can do sales and estimating and quoting and contract administration and project management from my desk at the highest level. I just want to stay in that groove, in that niche. So think about that. That's a bit of an intro that was a little bit off the cuff. If you've been with me and listening to this for the longest time, I really appreciate your attention and your ear. And I'm quite chuffed that you do keep chiming back in again, or visiting me the following week and the next week. I love the fact that, I'm getting emails to say, hey, Max, big high five. Get across and check out TikTok. You may not be a TikTok person, but, I'm going to demonstrate, if you don't think TikTok is relevant, dude, can you tell me how many Smith & Sons, how many followers we got on TikTok today? What I'm going to do is, what is going to help you the most really quickly is the amount of opportunity, right? We've got 1,315 followers. Note, today is May the 28th, right? And this is me throwing out to the audience. May 28th, 2024, we have 1,315 followers. Now, we've got we've got some snippets there that have got 252,000 views and 173,000 and 19,000, but we've only got 1,300 followers. So what I'm going to do to ensure that I have enough opportunity in my business is to really be the face of my building company, okay? And so, we're going to talk a little bit about down this list, about the ability to generate leads. And so, I think it's not a case of, do I have a choice? The barrier to entry is quite high because, it is a bit intimidating to, pick up the camera and go, hello, homeowners. Are you not happy with general contractors who just do cost plus contracts, or whatever you do? Remember, we're trying to separate ourselves. So this is kind of alluding to one of the reasons why the average builder goes broke in 5 years, because they're not prepared to get outside their comfort zone. And is it incredibly uncomfortable to stare down a camera like this, all like this, and talk? Yes, it is. It's kind of weird. Is it weird to pick up the phone and just do but remember, what we're trying to do is bring value. We're trying to demonstrate value. We want to entertain, inform, and educate our potential clients, because once they get an understanding of who you are and they know and like you, odds on is they will call you and they will, potentially go and do business with you. So let's talk about a few points around why maybe businesses or building companies, general contractors and builders go broke. The high failure rate amongst residential builders within the first 5 years is probably going to be attributed to a couple of these critical factors. Number one, poor financial management. Last episode, I think I alluded to that. You've got to know your numbers. Inadequate budgeting and cash flow management. So, what we like to do is to make sure that, if our fixed expenses are $10,000 a month, we want to make sure that we've got 30 grand in the bank. Now, the reason I want that is because one day I want to expand the business and maybe hire somebody, which is going to bump up my fixed expenses, yes, but now I've got a little bit of a war chest, which I can then invest. Now I've got to make sure that if I do spend money on that human, I've got to make sure that I'm protecting my financial stability within the business. So poor financial management absolutely is a reason, lead to an inability to cover your expenses and sustain operations. Booyah, that's what I'm talking about. Mispricing jobs and job underestimating costs result in financial loss. So you've got to make sure your pricing model, if you haven't got your pricing model working, then you've got no chance, okay? I think too often, guys, on behind the cameras up here, we've got 12 core values for my company. One of them is I'm deliberate, not desperate. And I know sometimes you've got to win jobs, but guys and gals, if you take your eye off the ball, you've got to just reduce the amount of motion that's involved and just look at the numbers. If you are not estimating, profit is a natural byproduct of good estimating. If you're a bad estimator, guess what? You're going to have jobs that make bad profit, and bad profit is going to drive you into the ground, okay? So you've got to understand how you're going to go about estimating. Every product needs to be supplied or purchased, needs to be delivered, and it needs to be installed, okay? And it's also got to be delivered, so someone's got to do that. So you've got to take all of those costs because they're the little things that start to gut the amount of cash in your bank because it's like, well, I didn't allow for that $250 delivery for drywall. Well, why not? It's heavy. It needs to be on a big truck. Like, what do you think? You just wiggle your nose, place an order, and bang, it's on your building site. I know you don't, but I just need to make sure that you are really aware as to, how it is that you've got to price jobs. And if good estimating, if the byproduct of good estimating is profit, if you're not profitable, it's going to come down to two things: the way you're doing your estimates and or the way you're delivering the project. So that really comes down to you educating yourself as it relates to, well, how can I do it better? And that's those sorts of questions. What you don't know, you don't know. Now, I'm not saying that I know it all. I far from know it all, clearly. But I've seen enough to know probably a little more than most. And if you decided to spend 30 minutes with me and just suck as much information out of me, I'm not going to try and push you into coaching. I'm not going to try and sell you. You know if you can afford it. You know if you can value from it or get benefit from it, okay? But you might say to me, look, I just want to spend 30 minutes. Tell me how you do estimates. Tell me how you do estimating, okay? Because part of my role in my new building company is going to be doing the majority of the first call, the follow-up call, get them to a pre-construction agreement, do the selection sheet, put it out to subs and suppliers to start getting pricing, start to build the estimate to be able to then build it into a proposal, add all the selection items in there, and then sit down with the clients and overcome the objections, some of the queries and the questions around that. Like, that's going to be my whole deal. I'm pretty sure that would be the best 30 minutes of your life if you were having challenges in the sales and estimation world, okay? Don't hesitate. I'm not going to try and sell you shit, okay? I just know that I've got 10 clients in 5 countries, and it's a pretty happy place. I love working with those guys, okay? Pricing model, that's super important. So poor financial management, that's the first thing, one of the reasons that builders may go broke. Second thing is lack of business and management skills. Many contractors excel in their trade, okay? We're all good technicians. No one does it better than us. I get that. But we lack the essential business skills as it relates to marketing, administration, strategic planning. Okay, I think we've talked about a couple of episodes, a little bit about the marketing, what we need to do to generate more leads. Go and check that one out. I think that was episode 189. Working in administration in the business is essentially organizing the flow of work and how it comes and how it goes, and essentially how the business is administered, okay? And so, it's important that we have systems and processes inside of our business. And then, of course, the other thing is strategic planning. So one of the things that I do early on with my builders is we talk about strategic planning. We talk about their core values. We talk about their goals. We talk about their org chart. We talk a lot about KPIs and the performance of the business. And we really nail down, if we are to survive the drive, what is it that we have to come up with, on a monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis in perpetuity. The other part of that is failure to implement efficient project management practices, resulting in delays and cost overruns. Guys, you've got to be able to deliver efficiently. And if you're running several projects at once, you're not going to be able to remember every single Gantt chart in your head, okay? This is why project management and site supervision are two different beasts. That's why I'll be liaising heavily with my business partner, because he is all in on construction, and he will control most of the project supervision because it's his builder's license. I will control procurement, placing orders. He will liaise with me, and I will do a lot of that project management, making sure that if there's any hang up in suppliers, the information is relayed to him, or it's relayed or to the clients as well to let them know we've got delays. Possibly we have to do change orders at the same time or variations to the timeline and the scope of work perhaps. And so, we've got to be very good at managing the project. It's not called project management just for shits and giggles. And we have got to be an ace. And so this brings me back to, guys, if you're running a building company and you want to do 2 million plus, you've got to have an office manager. I will not sell a franchise to a guy, and I heavily promote to my existing clients that you need to make bank so you can bring someone on to watch your back as it relates to numbers, key activity metrics, ordering, communications, timesheets for the guys, et cetera, et cetera. You as the builder have got to take yourself out of that $25, $35 an hour task and put yourself into the high-level sales, the project management, and the site supervision and quality control, okay? So understand that the reason for failure, side note, or the reason why we have disputes in our building companies is lack of supervision, plain and simple. I've seen it more than once, and it is down to the fact that we do not keep an eye on what's going on. Guys, look, another word of advice, hire the best subcontractors and don't trust them. That's going to get some people's backs up. Oh, but I've got this guy and I trust him implicitly. I'm like, great. But I still need to make sure that I am completely satisfied. So when my head hits the pillow overnight time, I know that that floor has been laid in conjunction with the manufacturer specifications, and I don't have to pull that $15,000 floor out and fix it because some frigging 2-bob sub told me it was right. When really, when I look at the specifications, the manufacturer specifications as it relates to installation, it's not right, okay? So we just got to be very careful. Hire the best people, pay them accordingly, but still don't trust them. Make sure you are looking over their shoulder. I make no apologies about doing that because my builder's license is on the line, okay? Right. The third thing, insufficient marketing and lead generation. Goes without saying. To rely on word of mouth only at this time, okay, is not good enough. Especially now, because we did 10 years worth of work in 2 years during COVID. Everyone is exhausted as far as work goes. There is not much word of mouth going around. There is still jobs out there. Like I might have said a couple of episodes, we got $1.2 million worth of inquiry in the second half of May when we decided to go after it. And that's a lot because, we've got brand establishment. You can see the brand around this town. We are gearing up to put decals on a trailer and 2 trucks. Why? Because they're mobile billboards, folks. And if you have insufficient marketing and lead generation because you've relied on word of mouth, it's almost too late for you. That's a good reason why people are going to go out of business in the next 5 years because they throw their hands up and go, I can't pay my bills. Okay? So failing to invest in effective marketing strategies limits lead generation. If that's not the most obvious thing in the world. Now, that's cute, and I talked about digital marketing and online presence, etc. But a lot of the time, guys and gals, we lack the understanding and the education. So what do we have to do? We've got to go and get understanding and education around marketing and lead generation. If you're a Gary Vee fan, you probably already know that he's dropped another book called Day Trading Attention. I've already got that in my Audible file. I'm going to crack that open on the way home so I can listen to that as an audio book. And I've got the hard copy already in my Amazon cart, and I'm going to get that as well. So I know this. If I'm working with clients and they say, I've got no leads, mate, there's nothing I can do. It's like trying to drive a car with no gas in the tank, okay? So we need to make sure that we have that. And if you're saying to me, I need leads, it's almost too late because we haven't got a plan, and it's very hard to get leads overnight, okay? So it's not a case of, well, word of mouth or digital media or print media. I think it's digital media, print media, and also word of mouth. It's great. I've got one referral on my board that literally came because someone thought well of us and they decided to refer that person to us. So, I think poor communication and customer service also lead to dissatisfaction and negative reviews. Folks, we cannot assume anything. I think there's too much of a blind side with some builders because they think they're just the cat's pajamas. And then you hear from the clients and they clearly have just done a really bad job. They are unconsciously incompetent. And so, I think some of the leaders that are leading these businesses, the reason they go broke is because they're unaware of their shit stinks and they just don't believe you. They're like, no, you don't understand, Max. That can't be the problem with my business. And I'm like, well, I don't know what else it is there, since you're a one-man band with a couple of subs. And so we really got to be understanding that clients only are working with one builder, but you, the builder, might be working with 6 clients. So you have got to be on song. So for me, when I start making phone calls to retail customers, I'm taking a lot of notes because I'm old school and I can write while I'm talking. But then what I'm keen to do is I'm keen to get those uploaded into our software, because I need to make sure that that is timestamped, that event, that communication, that conversation, that's all been, included. And so if I want to do $3 million worth of work, why would I try and remember everything? Why wouldn't I just use technology? Blows my mind. Oh, Max, but I'm just not a computer guy. You know what? Time for you to start being a computer guy. Start to learn today. There's no options, okay? This shit's not going away, and the best builders will be those that decide to change, embrace technology. AI is a massive part of what we're doing going forward in the next 2 to 3 years, if not sooner. And so we can't just completely ignore what's going on in the landscape of construction business and then think we're going to get away with it and build a big business. I think that's ignorance at the highest level. Okay, rant over. Right. Number 4, inconsistent quality and customer satisfaction. Guys, look, I think that, delivering inconsistent quality or failing to meet client expectations damages the reputation of you and your building company, and it reduces, if not completely destroys, repeat business and referrals. Like, guys, you got to understand, I just talked about getting a referral. That is a hot lead, okay? So, it's a very warm lead at least. The chances of me going and talking to that client about their project, then promoting the pre-construction agreement upon which we will get an agreement and some payment for said agreement, and then moving them into a building contract is highly likely, because when someone is referred to you, that means that person had a good experience and they trusted you enough to put the future of that friend in your hands, the builder. Therefore, when we're talking about our competitive advantage, for me over here in Canada, peace of mind, security, and certainty as it relates to the pricing and the project duration and what's included, because we spell it out in great detail, my ability to close that deal is exponentially greater than working on a cold call, okay? And yet we just think that we get we have the potential to just disrespect our clients because, well, we're the construction professionals, what would you know? Now, you may have a very good understanding of what's happening, but you need not be so, playing down on the customer's emotions and the fact they don't know. Do not disrespect your clientele. Pull them closer and sit down with them and try to explain them why you're wanting to do things the way you're going to do. So we've got to have a high level of communication. One of my core values is I value open, honest communication. I've got to have it. I just got to have it. If I send you a text, you got to give me a thumbs up at least, right? That's the minimum requirement. And of course, poor customer service. Well, see, here's the thing. When you get in a position whereby a subcontractor has done the wrong thing and you want to go and blame the subcontractor and he's not willing to come back and fix the work, and now you've got to get someone else and you don't want to pay for it and you want to make the clients pay for it, that is just bad for business. That is the wrong way to handle it. I know it's the sub's fault, but ultimately they're not being accountable, so therefore you are responsible because you're the main guy. Now, learn from that, because maybe you had that guy working, maybe he was a mate or a buddy of yours, and now he's just shit on you. That's just the way it goes. But ultimately, it's your contract, it's your brand, it's your business. Now you're responsible. So handle it professionally, and the money that you spent, just treat as an investment in your education. Remember I talked last episode about continuous learning? Welcome to the game. Okay, number 5, economic and market volatility. Economic downturns, housing market fluctuations, and changes in local demand can significantly impact a business sustainability. Builders and contractors may struggle to adapt to market conditions or diversify their services to stay competitive. So for me, when leads slow down, I don't say, let's cut our prices. What I actually say is, how do we market better? how do we change our message? How do we offer more value? I know that, we rent a commercial space here. The value of a commercial piece of real estate is based purely off the amount of rent that's paid. And so if you are a builder, here's the tip, and you want to go and rent an office space. Now, if you're in Australia, you might say, well, I'm going to rent, 75 square meters or 750 square feet if you're in North America. Odds on is you won't be able to grind the landlord over the rent. He just won't do it because he knows that the value is in the received rent. What he might consider doing is give you 3 months free rent. We might say, look, I'll give you 2 months to renovate and then I'll give you 4 months free rent. But you've got to sign a 3-year agreement. Okay? So, I think that, when we're looking at how we do business, for me, we don't just go and grind down the prices. We're like, how do we demonstrate more value? What I would also say, like I've explained either this podcast or the last one, I can't remember, is that we know that there is always a busy spell, like we've had in the last couple of years with COVID. It got incredibly busy. Now things have dropped off. And so what we've continued to do during COVID, the good times when I could have saved tens of thousands of dollars because the market seemed to find us, we continued to invest in labor, generating, 50 pieces of content per week. It was ridiculous, right? And now that things have gotten slow, so far this year, we've got over 100 leads already. I couldn't tell you what the forecast build value on that was, but, there is an element of the fact that we want to make sure that our business is evergreen. We want to ensure that we are constantly acquiring or attracting inquiry so that we don't go out of business in the next 3 to 5 years. So we don't have to due down our prices because, we feel like we've not got enough work on the books to sustain the business. And so, when we go back to, surviving economic and market volatility, it actually goes back to what is our online presence have been in the last 2 years? What's our website? Does it give value? Is it updated? Does it have good SEO? Is it a content-rich website? Does it speak to the client's needs and what they might want to do, as far as projects are concerned? Does it speak to the emotional part as far as the insecurity and the fear they have with hiring a general contractor or a builder? Like those sorts of things now, I'm enjoying the fact that the marketplace has slowed down and everyone around the world is saying, boy, it's a bit slow. I think it's just come back to normal. See, any gangster, any Muppet can make money when it's a boom, but it takes a real gangster to make money when there's a downturn. And they've got to do a couple of things. They've got to make sure they've got money in the bank to cover their operational and expansion costs, and they've got to have the money in the bank to be able to run their marketing as well. So, I want you to have a sensible think about it. You can attack me on social if you like. More power to you, big deal. Because at the end of the day, if your business is in trouble, you probably need to have a listen to what I'm saying, and maybe if you can really humble yourself, I'd love to have a conversation with you to see what I can help you with. 30 minutes, book a consultation. I won't try and sell you shit. Tell me what's wrong with your business, and I will try and bring some solutions to the table, something for you to think about. Because first and foremost, my goal is to bring awareness. Okay, and so that's what I really want to do straight up. Okay, point number 6. Compliance and regulatory changes. So failure to stay updated with building codes, permitting and regulations can result in legal issues and costly fines. I've seen that. And then, of course, inadequate safety practices and non-compliance with labour laws can lead to accidents and increased liability. Right, it makes sense to just stay up to date as it relates to the code. We've got the Canadian Home Builders Association. We pay our membership, and Dan sends me 4,000 million emails a year. Like, there is absolutely no reason why I don't know about the step code that's being introduced in British Columbia. It's impossible, okay? We've just got so much coming down the pipe in legislative changes. Something that come about recently through one of my guys was that he, if you want to do a basement, if you want to do a conforming basement suite, you've got to have separate HVAC, which is a massive cost to the homeowner, but it's all about making sure that the spaces are very much separate. And so, if you don't understand that and you're not aware of that, you're going to quote it incorrectly, and then all of a sudden you've got to spend twice on HVAC than what you thought you were going to have to, or more. So that's what can bring you down. So those compliance with, and regulatory changes, you need to know about that. Go to your local city and put yourself on the newsletter list. Make sure that these powers that be are feeding you information, because 90% it will probably just be shit you don't even want to read, but there'll be a 10% component that could save your business, okay? So pay attention to that. The other thing is, safety practices. I train guys, we did the initial training underway with franchised operators, and I speak to my elite business advisory clients about this all the time. You're going to work your ass off to build a business, and because you're not observing the appropriate safety practices, in the event of an accident, the local safety authority could shut you down if they can prove negligence. And ignorance is not a defense. Okay, you have got to be able to show that you had in place measures that the person that got injured did not observe, and therefore makes them reckless and you not irresponsible, or to someone who could be charged with incompetence in that regard because there was either an accident or even worse, a death. So be careful that you're not pushing all of this emphasis and all of this work into, I want to do, $3 million. And then because you don't get the boys to observe safety measures like harnesses and things like that, you go and someone has an accident and all of your hard work is compromised. Please, please, please make sure that you are recruiting the right people that, observe and listen to what you say as it relates to safety. If they do not, it's at the top of my list. If I catch a guy walking around a top plate and it hasn't got the appropriate fall protection or the scaffold around the building, I will lose my collective mind, okay? That is just not on. And so above all else, we want safety, because I cannot replace a human. It's just not possible. So make sure you're observing those compliance and regulatory things to ensure that you don't compromise the longevity and sustainability of your business. Right, number 7, the final one, overexpansion and poor scalability. Rapid expansion without adequate infrastructure and resources can strain operations and lead to project failures. And basically that comes down to spending more money than you're making, your inability to pay your bills, suppliers and vendors and subcontractors basically send you collections. Not a good day. Your inability to scale effectively due to lack of skilled labor, inefficient or insufficient capital, and poor process management. So, everyone's talking about it's hard to find good people at the moment. The people that you need are not unemployed right now. They're currently employed for somebody that they're not happy with. You just need to get to them, which now comes down to, what are we doing on social? What are we doing on our website? On the back of all my vehicles, it'll have design, plan, construct, and then at the bottom it's like, we're always recruiting, and it's either got an email or a 1-800 number, because we want to get those. And I would say twice a week we've got people inquiring about positions, either as subcontractors or full-time employed positions that they're looking for. Insufficient capital. We need to have 3 months in the bank. Just do. Pick your number. If you think 2 months is enough, fine. If you're scared and you want to do 4 months, great, right? You just pick your number. But I'm telling you, if work slows down, if you have a catastrophic failure on site, you've got to replace a $15,000 floor, whatever you have to do, you need the bank to do that, okay? So whatever you think sufficient capital is for you, make sure you've got that earmarked, and then manage your processes perfectly, okay? Everything from lead generation right through to lead management, to estimating and quoting, to contract administration, to project management and procurement, to project commencement, quality assurance, checklist along the way to making sure that each stage has been completed adequately and as per the plan. And then right to the back end, we've got a certificate of completion where the warranty period commences as well. So, guys, you just need to pay attention. I think what it comes down to is pay attention to the detail. Do not assume anything, okay? Understand every aspect of your business completely, and have a black belt understanding of how things bounce within your business right across the board, from marketing to financial management, and of course, construction processes. If you address these common pitfalls, you can improve your chances of long-term success and sustainability. Go and check out elitebusinessadvisory.com. Go and check out Business for Builders VIP Facebook page. Great community for some collaboration, and some, it's just a great community. Ask your questions there. Tick the bells, like and subscribe, all that kind of wonderful stuff. Shoot me an email if you wish, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. Go build a kick-ass business. See you on the next episode. Cheers.